Ride the signal through the unknown. This is the cryptic current.
The Earth Protector. Through past life regression hypnosis, accidentally encountered a person named Phil, and his past life was actually an alien. Through hypnosis, Phil introduced us to the operating principles of spacecraft, and even told us why Atlantis disappeared. Soon, Phil will introduce us to their alien world, including what their city appearances or social systems are like. And importantly, the reason why our humanity to this day, in this vibrant, prosperous world, still hasn't discovered aliens. Wait a moment, you'll learn many things that are not as we imagined. Because the previous regression session went very smoothly. Phil's subconscious knew that during the process of regressing to his alien past life, he wouldn't face any danger. Therefore, his subconscious now releases even more information. When the elevator doors opened again, Phil didn't hesitate. He even quickly stepped out of the elevator. In this life, he lived in a city called Fuwa, with skies full of crystal energy flying vehicles. The architecture in this city was all cylindrical and silver-colored on the outside. The reason is that people on this planet all find silver architecture extremely beautiful. Everyone lives based on consensus. They rely on majority opinion, plus they communicate through telepathy. So on this planet, there is no deception, no hypocrisy, and no suspicion. T have national distinctions because consensus is deeply ingrained in everyone. Therefore, there are no laws, no prisons. Compared to them, these things are unnecessary. On this planet, there's no religion, but there is belief. However, belief isn't an accurate word either. A more precise description would be understanding. Each of them understands from birth that the Creator truly exists, knowing that there truly is such a great being. Therefore, they revere him from the bottom of their hearts. They are extremely studious people. In fact, in the universe, almost all beings at high evolutionary levels are very eager to learn. For them, studying isn't a requirement, but naturally something they very much want to do. Only a very few people due to physical disabilities know what to study. At that time, they establish refugee organizations for those people to take good care of them. The people on this planet also belong to a cosmic race, but due to different body structures and atmospheric composition factor, they still have differences from Earth humans. They have no hair, slender limbs, with head proportions much larger than us Earth humans. This is also why their brain capacity and intelligence are much greater than ours. Normally they also communicate through telepathy, but they rely on their brains to send signals out, and use their hands to receive signals. Their skin is very sensitive, especially the skin on their hands. Besides using it for telepathic reception, they can also perceive everything with their hands. This reminds me of something on our Earth. Some people also use their hands to perceive objects. In a certain reaction, these aliens. You can also use your hand to move objects in midair. Mrs. Doris felt a little excited when she heard this, because this is completely different from what she had imagined. In the era of 1987, the common thinking of humanity, to outsiders, love is often seen as cruelty, and they have very high technology capable of invading Earth. According to what Phil said, the aliens not only did not invade us, and they are even living their lives in a utopian way. An ideal lifestyle where humans will connect more with nature. Mrs. Doris began to raise the issue. You just said you also belong to the human race in the universe. So, are there any other intelligent life forms in this universe? Of course, this universe has other life forms. These intelligent beings are roughly divided into energy levels, in spirit and in matter. First, let us explain a bit more about life at the level beneath the material. Specifically in terms of material life, our universe has more than 10,000 types. Among them, some are very similar to humanity, while others are completely different from humans. For example, there is race of intelligent life forms. They look very similar to the onions on Earth. Moreover, there are tentacles like those of a squid. We know them because we regularly have commercial transactions with them. During the trading process, we will use the independent energy method for transportation. The energy creation loop is also known as the energy stream, and it is connected to various ferries. We only need to channel the crystal's energy, making the spacecraft travel back and forth along these energy loops. Is it possible to rely on a gentler energy flow? The speed is very fast, traversing through the space between different stars. At this point, Mrs. Doris raised a question. In this universe, there have been many such life forms, and moreover, you have been in contact with each other. So why can't Earthlings observe it? I mean, during the process of your cooperation in trade and communication. Surely there must be some kind of electrical signal in it, right? Not wrong, we have contact, but not through radio waves to communicate, but using energy from nature. Because like gamma rays, cosmic rays, science on Earth has essentially mistaken the object of research. So it is believed that there are no aliens in this world. If one day they are willing to change direction, then they will immediately detect it right away. In this universe, a portion of gamma rays will continuously appear according to a certain pattern. Scientists will immediately realize that this is a dialogue between intelligent beings. Of course, whether they can actually read and understand the content is another matter. Actually, throughout this entire process, Mrs. Doris had also doubted whether what Phil said was really true. But Mrs. Doris is a professional hypnotist. If someone deliberately flatters her, she will definitely notice it very easily. Moreover, in the process of recounting the event, Phil was very careful with his choice of words. Not at all like those who prefer a grand style. And last but not least, although everything Phil told were stories Doris had never heard before, through Phil's explanations, issues like alien technology, their societal operational models, all had a certain rationality. Therefore, Doris completely trusted what Phil said. Afterwards, Doris asked Phil another question. But she didn't expect that this next question would lead her to an astonishing world. To the extent that she couldn't possibly imagine it. Do you know how ancient life on Earth is? Currently, we often use the theory of evolution to explain the evolution of life. But there are still many missing links that cannot be explained. Phil took a deep breath, then began to explain. To answer this question, Deacon started speaking from the universe. This universe has a creator, who created everything. Each of us carries a part of him. All of us combined are him. Because he established every detail, there are many things only he knows. I can only speak about the part that I know. According to cosmic historical records, Earth was formed a very long time ago. Sometime after that, life began to appear. But at that time, life only consisted of plants, not animals. In fact, every animal species on the planet was seeded. Of course, this also includes humans. At that time, there would be a group of intermediate super-universe beings composed of spirit and body. They would carefully observe Earth. This intermediate super-universe being, we call it Anna. It is the origin of antimatter. Everything originates from here, never ceasing. Simultaneously, this is also the dwelling of the Supreme Ruler. Is he the creator that humans often mention? I'm very sorry, At that moment, Doris felt very strange. Wasn't this a matter of going back in time? She carried doubts in her heart, continuing to listen to Phil speak. The Supreme Command Center of this universe would dispatch the Cosmic Committee, composed of different planets, to Earth. They would collect samples from Earth, then send them to the Central Super Universe for analysis. After analysis, when they determined Earth was ready, they would allow the Central Committee from the universe's central DNA bank to select the DNA most suitable for Earth to create humans. This is the origin of a portion of humanity on Earth. Therefore, humans on Earth didn't evolve, but were created. Of course, this doesn't align with your theory of evolution. In the early period, there were many races on Earth. Some were created, others came from interstellar travel. During the prosperous era, on Earth besides the human races visible today, like yellow, red, white, and black-skinned people, there were also green, blue, and purple-skinned people. But because these people were born with relatively high spiritual levels, during the process of intermingling with other human races, they gradually became incompatible. So this cosmic committee, after seeding life, disappeared? No, in the early period, the space committee remained on Earth, embodied in flesh to guide humans on Earth. Therefore, in the pure mythology of Earth people, there are descriptions related to them, but not all gods are aliens. Some so-called gods on Earth were merely individuals who received guidance from aliens to convey information to humans at that time. So which gods are aliens, and which are not? Doris continued to ask. Unfortunately, this I also cannot reveal. Doris was refused once again. She very much wanted to ask why it couldn't be told to her. But she thought this question probably wouldn't be answered either, so decided to ask the next question. You said life in the universe is divided into 3 types. So could you explain a bit about the other 2 types of life? Actually, any intelligent life, whether at the spiritual level or energy level, has all experienced material degradation. Material degradation is what Earth people call third-level degradation, which is precisely the current state of Earth. Through the changes of time, they continuously improve themselves, ultimately upgrading their entity from 3rd level to 4th level degradation, becoming existence in the form of energy. In the world, the 4th level degradation has no time, but they still have time when they must die. Only that death becomes a choice. In the universe, different planets provide different courses. Each reincarnating spirit is for learning. Therefore, when completing a course, they can choose to leave, reincarnating to another planet. Thus, suicide serves no purpose, because avoiding rather than facing means what you haven't completed will still await you in the next life. Life at 4th level degradation. Sometimes they also need physical bodies, but mostly related to learning. At that time, their bodies will manifest. This is very similar to what the woman from Venus, Mr. Neck Wen Neck, said. Wen Neck said at that time, to come to Earth, she had to undergo a degradation reduction process to make her body manifest. So are there still other aliens on Earth now? Doris asked. Of course there are. After sowing was completed, we only return at special times, and the number of aliens on Earth now is increasing day by day. This is because Earth is currently at an extremely important moment. If there are any wrong decisions, the consequences would be unpredictable. And we are here to help you overcome this difficulty. But we rarely manifest publicly in flesh. This relates to your innate nature. Humans often fear the unknown. The fear of Earth humans can also affect aliens. This will lead to unnecessary uncomfortable feelings. Therefore, before humans upgrade their level, they must first determine their position in the universe. And currently, the life closest to Earth is located at the position of the star Sirius. Due to the reasons just mentioned, so currently aliens are often star souls. They reincarnate to Earth through the soul method, living like Phil, with the sole purpose of helping Earth humans make the right decisions. You said Phil is a star soul who just arrived on Earth. But hasn't Phil lived on Earth before? This is Taurus Ajoa? No, this is Phil's first time coming to Earth. What? How can that be? Didn't we do hypnosis before? You lived in Germany in '92, met Hitler and thought he was crazy, right? Mrs. Taurus was somewhat agitated when questioning Phil, because she didn't understand his words at all. That is precisely past life memory. There really was such a person living during that time. But when his physical body died, all experiences from that lifetime, including all emotions, were stored in the Akashic Universe Library. Akashic is like a universe database, storing all experiences of every soul in the universe. Because Earth is an extremely special place, without the experience of living on Earth, Phil would find it very difficult to complete his mission. Hearing this, Mrs. Torres suddenly understood, because currently there are many scholars who don't believe in souls, let alone reincarnation. These non-believers often argue that if reincarnation is real, then why do people always claim to be Napoleon in their past lives at the same time? It turns out it's just because these people access the same Akashic records. Phil continued, these star souls, before reincarnating, would go to the Akashic Universe Library to retrieve materials, recording data into their souls. Such recorded materials would form memories and become their past life experiences, helping these star souls adapt to life on Earth. At the appropriate time, they will be activated to carry out their missions. Therefore, currently there are many star souls on Earth. They might very well be right beside you, you just don't know it. At that moment, Mrs. Doris began to feel that the distance between us and aliens isn't as far as we think. She asked, like you mentioned earlier, there are people from the spiritual level and energy level. Do they also come to Earth? Yes, actually while we're talking, they are also in this room. Oh my, hearing this, Mrs. Doris felt her heart skip half a beat. It turns out every time she hypnotized Phil, she always felt someone was observing her. It turns out there really was always someone watching. When she became aware of all this, Doris suddenly realized that she had discovered. She wasn't hypnotizing to regress Phil to past lives, but was channeling, contacting spirits. In the next episode, Phil will be more open, sharing details about what role aliens play on Earth. And then where is their base located? Does the underground world really exist? Why did dinosaurs ultimately go extinct? Most importantly, according to Phil, ancient Atlantis didn't completely disappear. But currently, they've even started contacting us more frequently. Thank you for taking the time to follow along. See you in the next episode. Earth Protector Part 3.
If the signal hooked you, subscribe and catch the next ripple.